But Robert, speaking of calling to the public for aid, ElonGate, we're going to get into ElonGate in a second. He put out a tweet yesterday looking for street fighters, lawyers to help him with his cases. I said, if you humorously, but not so humorously, said, retweet if you think I'm one of the guys. And I say that if there is anybody on earth who is what Elon Musk is looking for, it's you. And if it's not you, then there's no one on earth left. Did you hear back from Elon yet?
No, I mean, and it was fun. It was it was to use Musk's own methodology of kind of quasi trolling and having fun on Twitter. And yeah, he put out, he says, that he wants to build a bunch of lawyers that are not your corporate types. Basically, he said don't want the white shoe firms. I forget how he called them, but I think he identified Perkins Coie as one of them, which is interesting. But that he wanted to build a team of lawyers to defend himself in what he it clearly anticipates is going to be a major battle in the court of public opinion and in the courts of law because the system may come after him related to various public statements he's making. Not only the commitment of, that's what I put out. Should I do it? Just retweet for yes, because that's
here's the tweet. The tweet is in the chat, and I will back up and show you my answer, which was, I think we just found the fourth eternal truth. Barnes Law is the one. Elon Musk. And look at this GIF. I mean, it could be more.
There are so many great GIFs.
So you put the tweet out. No news yet, but Robert. So let's just delve a little bit into.
I mean, actually, if people go to the hush hush on Elon Musk and some of the bourbons that they've been following, the bourbon with Barnes, which I do 3 or 4 times a week at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. My speculation was that even before Musk entered this, that there may be some backdoor issues going on. And Elon Musk has a lot of government contracts, and there may have been an effort by what you could call the administrative bureaucratic state, especially under the Biden administration, to to get him to heel on some set of policies or issues in some context. And he had decided to push back against that. And once he decided to push back against that, he knew he was going to get civil and criminal investigations, public harassment, Me Too, all the rest. And I think he was partially preempting that by just coming out and saying, hey, maybe by going in and trying to buy Twitter, return it to its free speech base, and build. I think he realized he had too few allies in the Democratic Party, that is an unreliable constituency. They will all ultimately all serve the state at a fundamental level. So that, whereas on the other hand, people on the right are much more willing to fight the state. And so I think he decided that he made a calculated choice, is my guess. This is all speculation. And I speculated this before he was even making the full Twitter purchase bid and the rest, that this would be a smart strategy. If you know they're going to come for you anyway, get out in front of it. Promote free speech, criticize Biden, talk about being a Republican, such that when they go public with the fact they're coming after you, you've reframed the narrative. And I still think, whatever you think about Elon Musk, whether you like him or hate him, think he's a genius or a grifter, everybody agrees the man's a master marketer at a minimum. And I mean, he's at Trump level and sometimes even exceeds it in certain respects. And the guy's just at a different level in that skill set. And so, and he goes in to buy Twitter. He's able to get Twitter to back down from trying to poison pill it. And then he exposes that, in fact, Twitter may be, like all of big tech, one big massive scam run on bots, which Twitter went nuts about, saying it violated the non-disclosure agreement that they had as part of the purchase deal.
You can't disclose the fact that we're not respecting our end of the bargain to open up the books to material elements that we've been filing in public filings for the last 10 years. No, and now we're going to try to force the sale apparently, but.
I mean, he may get it at a discounted price. Then he talked about how he feels more like a moderate Republican these days, and he even joked about Bill Gates. He said, if you ever want to decrease your certain appetites, just take a look at Bill Gates, and those appetites will disappear quite quickly. Stuff like that. I mean, he was having a lot of fun with this stuff. So he's going after a lot of powerful. He went after indirectly George Soros, and it wouldn't surprise me. If you're someone in his space, you get targeted by this sort of globalist hierarchy, deep state establishment folks, whatever you want to label you want to put on them, the institutional powers that be, to be on their page. I mean, that's why, you know, they want you to join the clubs. They want you to go to the charity balls. They want all those events. They want you to prove your allegiance. And Trump, throughout his life, chose that was a sign about Trump. He was the first president in a long time to have never gone to Bohemian Grove, never joined an elite traditional country club, formed his own instead. You know, I mean, that was very Trumpish, but was one of the very few presidents to ever get elected that was that way. And Musk comes from a very similar independent relative background. And the system's not going to trust somebody with that kind of financial power not necessarily being on board. And I think they attempted to coerce him to be on board. And he responded by no thanks and has decided he's going to wage political legal war in advance before he gets Alex Jones. Before he's up. I mean, there's a very dubious Me Too allegation that came out against him as soon as he started saying free speech and maybe Republicans make more sense, etc.
It was like, I think it was 2 days after he said, I'm going to vote Republican next election. It's preposterous in that it's not quite as egregious or over the top as Kavanaugh in that it's not 35 years old. And there might be, you know, when Elon Musk comes out and says there's circumstances, there's details, and it's not so simple. Don't get massages, period, from anyone who's not your wife. That would be my bottom line takeaway. Keep your schmeckel in your pants. Don't get massages.
That's the old Pulp Fiction debate. Remember the debate about should you do a foot massage?
Yeah, he's like, would you massage another man's feet? But bottom line, yeah, out of the blue, he's never had a hashtag Me Too accusation against him in however many years, despite everything. He's had racism. He's had exploiting his workers. He's had a number of accusations, but never sexual. And then all of a sudden, I'm voting Republican next election. I want to buy Twitter. It's bogus in that it's overstated, or understated its bot accounts. Yes, he allegedly took out his.
Don't trust Bill Gates. Don't trust George Soros. Don't trust Joe Biden. And all of a sudden, within a day or two, there's Me Too allegations. Now, Fox Business News has been putting out some really kind of crazy news sometimes. So the most recent one was a Fox Business News guy said that maybe Twitter could put Musk in jail if he doesn't go through with the deal. And it's like, no. Twitter doesn't. Their contract does not have a specific enforcement clause that says they get to jail him if he doesn't go through with the deal.
You get jailed for it doesn't matter. Well, not civil offenses, but Robert, can Twitter even force the sale? I mean, like, I don't know what the terms of their due diligence was. The terms of their.
Well, my understanding is that the deal doesn't go through, depending on who's at fault, the at fault party owes the other party $1 billion. I mean, in Musk's world, that doesn't matter a whole lot. No, so but I think, I mean, the question would be, you know, there's going to be lawsuits probably either way, unless they give him maybe a discounted price. I mean, his concern is legal. I mean, how much value is there really with Twitter, and how much legal risk is there? Now, I suspect that he suspected this was a bot-riddled universe from the get-go, because this has been an ongoing conversation in the tech world. One of the people on our board put up a detailed analysis of this, that this has been an ongoing, barely masked issue within the tech world, that Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, they fake the likes. You have lots of bots that create false advertising value, is the bottom line.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that's what Facebook is being sued for, not even just the bot part, for just lying about how many people were reached. And they face a potential bankrupting suit. So there's real legal risk to him. I think he'll manage. I mean, he's been through a lot of lawsuits. He just won one of the biggest ones that nobody thought he could win in Delaware. And he's probably thinking himself every single day that, praise God, he never actually married Amber Heard. So, as he's watching this case, he's just thinking, God just keeps gifting me stuff. I might as well roll with it.
Yeah, was it. We'll get to this question. Keep it simple, simplify. But Robert, even if there's a penalty clause for not following through, if they're not following through due to a deliberate act or omission, or even worse, the fraud of one of the parties, there's no penalty clause. What's Twitter going to say? We lied on our SEC filings, refused to open our books, refused to evidence the claims in his DD, and now we want to force him to buy it. And if he doesn't, $1 billion. I mean, I don't know the exact terms of their agreements, but it's inconceivable that they did not.
They could try to sue him if the deal falls apart. But they're going to get sued themselves, because people are going to allege securities fraud by Twitter for failing to disclose how many bots were there. The best out for Twitter is probably to take less money and still give it to Musk. Cut it in half and, and move on.
could they cut it in half without getting a lawsuit from their shareholders? Like, well, I said
yeah,
I'll
probably they could now because, well, they might still face it no matter what because of the misrepresentations about the number of bots. Unless they really prove that the bots aren't as many as they claim, as many as appears to be the case. I mean, they're in trouble either way.
Yep.
Is the reality of it.
Well,
And
I mean,
Musk found a way to unmask it by just trying to buy it. And so we'll see if he really wants it. I think Musk is serious about waging. We'll see. I think Musk is, again, he's a master marketer, so you always have to measure marketers by what actually happens as opposed to what they say is going to happen.
Well, you took some flack for your assessment of that on one of the hush hushes, which I heard. And
it said Musk has Trump is similar. A lot of your great salesmen don't, their gift is their salesman, not always their delivery. So that can happen, but we'll see. I mean, Musk did go through with trying to buy it, has gone through with exposing it. He has been willing to be publicly critical of. I mean, he highlighted the Sussman trial this week, so clearly he's showing he's independent and he won't be coerced or crushed or bought off by the system.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't like the jokes like Robbie Mook better check his door. Elon said
Elon Musk made that joke.
I
know. His mom was like, "Hey, you can't be making that joke."
I don't like that joke. I know it's a form of OCD where you don't want to even say the bad joke to put the juju out in the universe. I don't like that joke. He says, if anything, I forget what it was. He says, if anything happens to me, I didn't do it. Something along those lines. But then, meanwhile, he's facing a sexual harassment, alleged allegation from somebody, and he wants to call it ElonGate. Which is, I mean, I don't know who thought of that. It's almost like they made it for him. I think they're working together in this.
Well, he's just a natural marketer at those things. And I think he's smart to wage the political battle that he's waging. And he's smart to want to put together a bunch of lawyers. Whether I would fit within that group is an open question. But I wouldn't rule it out. I don't rule it in. I'll put it that way. But he's right to want to put together that kind of team outside of the compromised corporate structure. He identified them as just kind of weak-kneed, and he was, I think, as he put it, yeah, we're looking for blood. But the other problem is the conflicts of interest. In other words, the problem with all the corporate law firms is they're all going to be compromised at some level. So you need to hire a bunch of individual boutique lawyers, and a team of them to be able to go at what he wants to go at. And if he's serious at going after some people. The people like Bill Gates, George Soros, the Twitters, the Biden administration, corrupt SEC people. I'd be happy to help with because I'm happy to throw some bombs.
Well, but hold on one second. Let me just get rid of the. Thank you for the super chat on Sue, but let me just do this. ElonGate was pretty epic, but hold on one second, people. If you want to talk about a reason for which one should not trust, what's his name? Bill Gates. Look at this. Look at this.
So we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time. So we have to prepare for the next one. That
it was like he was talking about how many people were going to die. He was always smiling. But it was like whenever he talked about how many people were going to die from the pandemic, his smile get bigger and bigger and bigger.
No, and it's weird because like I've watched enough of Bill Gates to know that he's not normally like that. So maybe he's super nervous, or maybe
no, it isn't.
Maybe
all the people I get to kill. All the people I get to kill.
Oh, so ElonGate, okay, they can force it if there's no fault, whatever. He'll pay $1 billion if he backs out. I think there's fault and fraud, but
I think Twitter's in trouble no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was going to be the question. Let's just say the bot accounts represent 20% and not 5%. It's not like it means that there's a fourfold overvaluation of the company. The question is going to be evaluate the damages of. Let's just say it was good faith, wrong statements. We thought it was 5, but it's 20. What is the monetary impact that has on the company? Some advertisers might say, I don't care, but
I mean, some estimates are that there's no value to these big tech companies if they were honest about their advertising dollars risk. So I mean, that's has been that's been the biggest risk for all of them. And it's interesting that Musk has been willing to join the parade. So I mean, the system made a mistake by going after Musk. They would have been better off staying quiet and staying in the background. Just like Gamergate, they don't know which constituencies, communities, and individuals to go after. I mean, the realities of 2020 had been on the up and up. Trump probably would have just said, chill, I'm just going to chill in Florida and, have fun for a little while in Mar-a-Lago and play golf. Yep. But because he believes there was some election fornication that took place of an unapproved kind, he will never give it up, and he'll be guaranteed to be politically engaged for the rest of his natural born days until he gets what he wants. I mean, people should go back and watch that Charlie Rose interview. Trump is very much an East Tennessean when it comes to revenge. I mean, we are the place of the Hatfields and the McCoys. We have plays and theaters dedicated to him, and I think they were in the right. So revenge is good, so saith Donald Trump. Okay. And I think that people are discovering that going after Musk in the way they did was probably a mistake.